This is a tutorial which covers how to create checklist templates. Now let's look at what the Config tab does. This tab is where all the checklist templates are created, modified, deleted, and configured. Also, this tab activates and deactivates checklist templates. To see all the checklist templates that are available right now, first click on Checklist Config. Then, in the drop-down box under Available Checklists, you'll see a list of templates. Default means that this is a default template that was provided by Udoa. Activating a template means that you're giving permission for someone to create a checklist from that template. Deactivating a template will remove the template from the list that others will see, but it will not delete it from the master list of templates here. You can activate and deactivate any template, even if it does not have a default prefix in front of them. Once a template is deactivated, it will be prefixed with the inactive and will remain in your list of templates. Let's look at an example of how to deactivate and activate checklist templates. First, select a template. Then, click Deactivate. Now, in the drop-down box, you'll notice that this template is now prefixed with inactive. This does not mean it was deleted, it just means that the users will not be able to create a checklist based off of example 1, morning. For example, let's go back to checklists. Now, look at the drop-down box. You'll notice example 1, morning is not here anymore. Now let's go back and reactivate this template. Go to the Config tab. Make sure you have example 1 morning. Hit select and activate. Now this will reappear in the list of possible checklists templates you can create a checklist from. Default checklists are special because they cannot be activated, deactivated, or deleted. Instead, a new config is added and assigned to specific stores. For example, let's look at the default template called Udoa Admin Afternoon. Right now, it's not assigned to any store locations. So if you went to the checklist tab and looked at the drop-down box, you would not see that default config. Let's go back and add that to this store location. To do so, click on the Add Config, choose the appropriate configurations. Now choose all the stores you'd like to add. In this example, we'll add all of them. Click on Create Config, and now you'll see all the stores are assigned. Now you can go back and see the Udoa Admin Afternoon default checklist template is now available. You can also go back and make adjustments. Let's go to the Config tab again. Let's pull up the default Udoa Admin Afternoon. We'll notice all the store locations. If you wanted to modify the configurations, you can click here. You can unassign and assign locations, or you can even delete the configuration. Now let's create a checklist template from scratch. First, click on Create New Checklist. Give it a name. We'll call this one example 3, evening. And I put a description. And then mark how frequent you want this to be. We'll make this one ad hoc. You can actually make it daily or ad hoc. Now you have an option of emailing people whenever a checklist is actually completed, incomplete, or late. Click Next. Now we can add each checklist item. For simplicity, I'm going to call them checklist item 1, checklist item 2, checklist item 3, and item 4. There are various ways to configure each item. Let's take a look. Click on Config. Here you can require additional information from this item with a label. You can make it critical, requires a signature, whether it's informational only, or requires a picture. For this example, let's put in require additional information. Let's just say we wanted a date. On this question, let's say we want to make it critical, which will make the text turn red. On this item, let's require a signature. You'll notice the new icon that pops up. On this item, let's make this informational only. Now, we can actually move questions by just dragging and dropping them into the position you would like them to be. Let's add another item. We'll call this checklist item 5. On this one, let's say this item needed specific directions which required a lot of text. In order to hide it from the user and only need it when necessary, click on the note. You can add details which will only pop up if the user clicks on the note icon. Let's do a quick example of how to remove an item. Let's create one for deletion. Now just mark this question for deletion by using the check mark. If you want to undo, just remove the check mark. For this example, let's just keep it enabled. Now click Next. You'll notice that item was deleted. Now you can see the various configurations that we put in. For example, the informational one, the one that required additional information, the critical one, the one that required a signature, and details. Now click Next to complete. Now let's activate the draft that we just created. First select the draft and simply click Activate. You can come back later and deactivate this one if you desire. Checklist templates do not have to be created from scratch. You can actually copy an existing one and make modifications and save it as a new template. Let's do a quick example. First, let's select the example 3 evening and click Copy. Now, let's just call this one Closing. You can rename this to example 4 if you'd like. And we'll call it our closing template. Click Next. Make any modifications you would like. And click Next. One more time. And let's add all the stores and create draft. Now you'll see the example closing that was added. Let's activate that one. And now those 2 new checklists are available. We have evening and closing. And this concludes the tutorial.